I have logged in.
আচ্ছা, আরেকটা বলো তো, যে রেকর্ডিং যেটা হচ্ছে ছবি কি একদমই আসছে না? অল্প ছবি থাকলে কি হবে? অল্প তুমি এমন করতে পারো, প্রথমে ছবি করলে তারপরে অফ করলে, কেন কি আমরা তো ওটা কেটে নিতে পারি 2 মিনিট বা কিছু।
হ্যাঁ, মানে কখন সেটা তো তাহলে বলতে হবে, আপনি কখন থেকে ছবি চান, কখন থেকে চান না।
হ্যাঁ বলছি, সেটাই চিন্তা করছি যে স্টার্টিং এ ধরো যতক্ষণ আমি স্টার্ট করছি প্রথমত হাই হ্যালো হয়, তখন ছবিটা থাক।
ওকে, ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে,
করা যাবে কি আগে বলো?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, সেটা করা যাবে, সেটা করা যাবে।
তারপরে যখন আমি স্টার্ট করবো, ওই নীল ফার্স্টটা আসবে,
হ্যাঁ তখন অফ,
তখন
ঠিক আছে, ওকে,
তখন অফ করে দেবে। আর লাস্টে যখন শেষ হয়ে যাবে, যখন এমনি, তখন আবার ছবিগুলো নিয়ে আসবে,
ছবিগুলো নিয়ে
কেন কি
আসবে।
তখন বডি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজটা অলসো হেল্পফুল।
ঠিক আছে, ওকে,
তাই জন্য।
ঠিক আছে, ওকে। তো আমি স্লাইডটা স্টার্ট করে দিই, চালিয়ে দিই।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ। আরেকটা হলো যে ওই যে তোমার লাস্ট যেটা অ্যাড করেছো, ওটা আরেকটা স্লাইড হচ্ছে, তো ওখানে এরকম এরকম হচ্ছে, কি হচ্ছে ওটা?
বুঝলাম না, একবার বলুন।
যেটা নতুন অ্যাড করলে, যেটা লাইনটা ঘুরছে,
হ্যাঁ,
ওটা ওটা ভিডিওতে কি করে হচ্ছে? ওটাতে যাও, তাড়াতাড়ি যাও ওটাতে।
ঠিক আছে,
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে, থ্যাঙ্কস।
আপনার ভিডিওটা একটু অন করে রাখুন।
ও সরি, হ্যাঁ। না করলে বোঝাই যাচ্ছে না যে কোথায় কি আছে। ঠিক বলেছো, থ্যাংক ইউ। সময় জয়েন।
Hello.
Hello, Shomo. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Thanks. Rajat is also joined. Good.
Hello.
Yeah, Rajat.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning.
How
are you?
I'm fine. Thanks. So you take this from home or office or what?
No, today I'm at office, the Barashat University campus.
A nice curtain behind.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So
How are you? How is everything?
Yeah,
back there?
everything is fine. The backache is improved. I'm still not taking liberty because I have to. I'm waiting for the physio appointment, but there's a big waiting time. So I had similar problems. I have the old exercises, so I'm just trying to do on my own the safe ones. So slightly better. Can you see my smile a little bit better?
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Okay.
So today we are going to do basically machine learning, and it is basically about, I was talking to Shomo that it's about various types of use cases. So obviously there are various things. And again, there are categories of computer vision, text, and NLPs and all that. So obviously we can't do all of them, but just keep in mind that from this we choose some. So I have planned some use cases other than chatbot, specific use cases which can be very easily done. And then we can, that is in the demand supply side. Basically, just to revisit the framework, the demand is all about what are the things there, what are the things available, and supply is how to do those things. So obviously we can't do all of them, so we'll pick and choose some of them, and obviously the key skill is about machine learning and algorithm. And one other thing we'll do is we'll do deep down on SageMaker, which gives you all the technologies and algorithms and processes and activities, the full view. So that is, we have to keep in mind. So from there, we'll apply a couple of things like, convolution neural networks. So CNN is one of the things which is used for image handling, image identification and all that. So that is something we'll apply in the use case. But obviously it will be a smaller one which we can do rather than, like just like chatbot, we had what do you call, click, query, and interject. So we will say, okay, let's not do it, just do just a click and query bit, so that we have something which is achievable, within our framework or within objective, a SMART goal, A for attainable or achievable. So that is the idea. Okay, but in between, if you have something, you can either pass it to someone, because I can talk to him. Good thing is that I can talk to him. We have leveraged it, so we can shape things in future. So we still have other things to do. And but before we go to supply, we have one more session for data as a service.
Okay.
So just an outline of what's coming in that thing in the near
Sure.
future.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay. So should we start?
Yeah, let's start.
Yeah.
So first thing first is what we did last time. Okay. So this is a continuation of what we did last time. Just a sec. One sec, just a sec.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So we did the machine learning, difference between machine learning and DL, training data and the models. So these are the core of machine learning. So this is common. So it's like it's going to be there everywhere. Rest of the time till the time you actually do it, and hopefully you we will retain, because Shomu said that he knows about machine learning. So it'll be good idea to just tell me what you know, and if you know about algorithms, so that I can use it judiciously in my conversation. So I don't want to, something which you already know in detail. So I don't want to go over again in details. So just quickly, what do you know?
Sure. So from my side, since I did my bachelor's, since I did my MA in computer science and I did my master's in business analytics also, and I think it's the same for Shomu also because he's doing a master's in AI. So I think we are probably well acquainted with the machine learning concepts and what are the algorithms, say regression, classification, clustering, then going into other problems with hands-on examples, hands-on experience. So we have already also worked on building machine learning models using big data sets, building predictive models, getting a classification output or regression output. And also, Shoma has also obviously gone a bit more deeper into the concepts of neural networks and deep learning, which I sort of don't have because I didn't do the specialization. So basic machine learning, I have good knowledge in terms of also hands-on experience. I think Shomu has a bit more depth in terms of deep learning, neural networks, uh, concepts of CNN, RNN, those kind of things. So I think that part, I think we are sort of well acquainted.
Okay, so good. So Shoma, over to you. Can you just describe your exposure? So because what will happen is this will definitely come in our discussion. So I will, I will leverage your exposure or your knowledge about it in the discussion.
So like Rajat said, like everything he mentioned, I'm aware of that. Plus, this year I'm doing a master's in AI, so I also have hands-on experience with vision algorithms. So, for example, I did a vision program project, which was basically image classification, like the one you mentioned last meeting. So, for example,
yes, coming there also, it is part of that. So we will discuss in details. Yeah.
For example, you gave the example of classifying cats and dogs.
Correct.
I've already done that hands-on with residual networks, basically, which is a type of deep network. So I have experience in that. So you also mentioned reinforcement learning. Again, I have hands-on experience with that. I've implemented algorithms of reinforcement learning, and also I've done CNN, done projects with CNN networks. So
good,
I'm
good.
acquainted with that.
Very good, very good. So admin, next part of the part 2 today, just an overview. Yeah, so today we are going to do basically what are the models and what's a business problem, kind of what are the things, the what part. In the supply side, we'll say how part. So in the how part, I'll leverage both of your knowledge and then try to be real. So obviously how is difficult, what is just knowing and awareness and with some detail, obviously compared to complete layman, you guys are better off. And then in the supply side of the discussion, we'll have to be practical. It's like we are having, let's say, 30,000 feet view on in the demand side, and in the how we are coming this thing. And when you go to market, you have to be closer. So you have to really look at the reality and all that. So that is the idea. That is number one. And Rajat, we talked about bringing in Sovan in supply side. So what's your thought on that?
Sure, we can do that. We can do that. Once we identify what will be the area we'll be working on, what kind of people we need, then we can get someone in and get his thoughts once.
So how do you want to structure? Because we'll have multiple sessions. So does he have to attend some or bring in at the end or attend all?
I think towards the end. I think towards the end. Once we are sure, once we are convinced this is the area we'll be working in, this is the expertise we'll be forming, this will be the team structure for this part of the work. Then we'll bring someone in to get his thoughts that these are the areas we've identified. What is your thoughts? So I think let's be completely sure first. Let's be completely convinced first. What kind of people we need for what purpose? What will be the area? Then I think it'll be good to get someone in.
Yeah, because in supply side, if you remember my deliverable, I will define the roles. I will define what the developer profile is, what the team leader profile was, a CTO or whatever, all that. So you're saying we discuss and then bring in. So instead of structuring, we'll have one session dedicated with it only for.
Sure, I think it will be more. Yeah, it will be better to have these profiles chalked out first. Then we sort of discuss with someone. These are the profiles we have formed. These are the required skill sets. These are the required knowledge or personality traits. So this is what we're looking for. Then we'll see what someone says. It will be better to get someone on board after we have formed this requirement in terms of the team structure.
Okay, so we'll have, let's say, supply session 1, 2, 3, or 4, or whatever, and then in the fifth one or the fourth one we're bringing him. Is that what you're suggesting?
That will be better. That will be better.
Okay, so that is Sovan gone. What about Chandan? Do you see in a foreseeable picture or is unpredictable?
Chandan, I haven't been able to speak, but I think what I obviously have to speak to him and understand what he's expecting sort of during the conversation that we have with him. But I think what he'll be more eager to know is get a final decision that what have we identified we'll be working on. And I don't think he'll be interested in what is machine learning, what is chatbot, what is
No.
deep
We are not
learning.
going
So
detail, but we can just give the
yeah,
topics that we covered. Because
but I think he'll be more interested in getting a high level overview of what we have decided after all these conversations, all these sessions that we have had, and why we have decided so, and what is the long term plan, long term vision with what we have decided. I think he'll be more interested in that. So I think let's
Okay,
get
good.
some clarity on that first. Then it'll be good to get Chandan on board. But I'll speak to him and also get an understanding what he's also expecting to, what information he's expecting to get from us. So I think that will
That'll
give
be
us
good
a
because they see the thing is, supposing, you know, because he's the one who asked me, if I remember correctly, he wanted the methodologies and deliverables and all that. So he understands that. So I spelled out exactly, and I'm all literally religiously following that, what we'll do, demand and this thing in the supply side, the outcome will be, profiles, roles, blah, blah, blahs, activities and all that. So
yeah, that's
just,
fine. I think your deliverables, what you had set out was before you had come on board, and I think he wanted a clarity what your involvement will be. For that, he has asked those deliverables. So he's obviously not going to look whether we are meeting all the deliverables. And
okay, fine, good.
I think what he'll
Good.
want at the end is what we have decided. I mean, what area of
Okay, I
work
get
we have
it.
decided to go into. So then we'll let him know, okay, this is what we decided. This is the long-term plan, long-term vision. This is the team we want to form. This is the
Okay,
area we'll
okay.
work in,
Okay.
and we take it from
No,
there.
I just wanted clarity because people they have different perspectives. So you
Yeah, I
understand, you
still
have.
talk to him, get his thoughts as well, what he's expecting, at what point he's expecting to come into the picture. So then, but don't worry about Chandan now. I think it's still a long way off because we have to
I
first
said
get
no
clarity of
problem. So
what
I
we.
thought you said 2 weeks. So because why the reason is that discussion will be different from what we are discussing. Obviously,
Yeah,
like
of
he
course.
doesn't want to know the details and all, but still have to structure in a way that it is meaningful for everyone.
Because
Anyway,
now still, I mean, even now also we are all over the place. I mean, we are looking at a lot of areas. So if you identify, say, one or two key areas which we are sure we'll be working into, say it could be machine
yeah,
learning
that will come in
services
the
or
supply side. We will get deep down and we'll have a
yeah,
real life example, and we have to commit that we will, like, one, we definitely know we will do chatbot for two outcomes. One is just for coaching training, other one selling training as a chatbot as a course. AI full-fledged coach is one use case. So that is one. Third thing is you can apply to ADMS. So it will be used in go-to-market as a reference thing, credibility building. So we will discuss that again, the go-to-market, but that is our decision. But other things we'll decide in the supply side, and then obviously the next one, like I said, it's like, in the go-to-market, we have to be real. So right now we are dreaming, and then we'll be slightly awakened in the supply side, and then you have to do real stuff in go-to-market. So next slide, please. Yeah, so this is one of the very common, or one of, you can say, simplest of algorithm, but still heavily used. So what you have is a scatter diagram, and you feed X and you give Y as a, some of them as a prediction, and then at the end it can predict any Y for any X. So that is the model, which is, like I think someone said, linear regression algorithm. So that's algorithm, and it is used in many algorithm, this kind of thing where it's like fitting the curve fitting, as it called. Have you heard the word curve fitting?
yeah.
So what context did you hear?
So those are the basics of machine learning. I mean, when they teach you the first, say, regression, they tell you like you fit a line which is best fit based on the data points. You minimize the distance between the predicted points and the actual points, and that becomes your best fit line. And based on that best fit line, you make future predictions.
Okay, now so it's basically curve fitting is a very old term in mathematics actually. Okay, but as you know, the commercial world, the theoretical world, there is something common, but there is something not common. Like we also have to know, because this is a heavy duty subject. So if we can really establish ATC as good in this, there's a big future. whatever we do, we should do. Even if we do one or two things, but we do is solid. There's a lot of things because there's huge expansion happening. So that is one thing. That is why we have to be very, like in terms of knowledge, some depth. It's not just, heard the term kind of awareness thing. But, there is this, what do you call, there was a, like Nobel, there's a Turing Award. Have you heard of that? No?
Which one? Sorry.
Turing, the guy who invented computers,
Turing.
the Boolean
Alan
algebra.
Turing, yeah. Alan
So
Turing,
there's a
yeah.
guy. Yeah, so there is a guy who did, I forgot his name, something. He was recently, he made a statement that, that everything in the world of impressive world of AI is all about glorified curve fitting, which is basically sensitization. So I don't know, how do you agree with that, or you don't, or you have no opinion?
I'm hearing it for the first time, so still trying to make sense out of it.
No, you know curve fitting. He said everything AI is all about curve fitting, nothing more in AI. That's the statement he made. And it's like a, very thing where you can, right wing, left wing kind of division. So, but that's what he says. He's an award winner. So he said, but just to clarify, the curve fitting and algorithm. See, like, in this example, we'll go to, there's a next slide, we'll slightly more clarify what I'm saying. The curve fitting is all about best fit. So, it's a line, y is equal to mx plus b, so you get the value of m and b. In this exercise, this is a 0.1 for m and 0.0545 is b. So once you have that, you put any x, you'll get y. But in algorithm, there's an element called accuracy. So you can say this is cat and dog. If you give a picture to cat and dog algorithm or AI system, it'll say this is cat with 80% accuracy. It is cat with 98% accuracy. That difference depends on the thing, match or whatever. That is the difference between AI algorithm and curve fitting. In the curve fitting, it's best fit, but in modeling, in AI, it is not best fit. In fact, I don't know whether it's covered in your courses that that line thing that you put distance and all. You choose a line which is safe. It should not be too close and all. So it's all about modeling the problem, whatever, whether it's chatbot. Yeah. So it's about modeling the problem, and the other element is feature engineering. So that is the production or business aspect of the AI. So this is just to clarify curve fitting versus because this IT and AI is full of jargons. So we have to be very clear to separate out jargons. Like we'll come to next one with the image recognition, etc. So admin, can you make it move or what? Admin? Hello? No. Go to the previous slide. No. Second, third slide. Hello? With same, next to that. Next slide. Yeah. So can you see this moving? So, yeah. So basically, there's a line, but it could be one of the any position. So you have to decide which one is the right one. So that is the one which is part of the design feature modeling. And whereas in terms of best curve fitting, it's just the best one. So you see the difference because it's it's moving this way, that way. So it's we have to choose which one is good for us, and the benefit is all about accuracy. So that is just to highlight the, this aspect, because this is something which is used in lot of models. Okay, so next slide, please. Okay, now these are some of the models. I don't know how much you covered, and we are just doing the what, we obviously have to pick and choose some of them which we can do. So one of them is forecast, forecast for, detecting fraud, then predicting sales, which are very commercially useful thing, but we have to see what is behind that, how to do it for each of them. Then CNN is for imaging. This is, I think, we should have the basics. We should have some worked out example. What do you think? My vote goes for, we must know basic of object identifications and things like that. What do you think? Because we tell me.
No, I think some aspects, I think we are clear about the basics. I mean, we've already done these in our degrees. I mean, Shomo knows it much better. When you go to convolutional neural networks.
No, but there are two things. Networks. Sorry, go on.
So I think it will be better to know, I mean, what are the real world applications of these techniques?
No, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. But what I'm saying is, supposing you decide, I'm just giving you, we decide we'll do CNN and we find an application. That's not a difficult part. Suppose we can just do like this picture that we are doing, we can just use it as it can identify who is Somo, who's Rajat, or who's me from this. Always it's not easy, just fitting one picture is not enough. So we have to do 1,000 pictures. That can be a demo kit. But in the real life, you're not going to do the thing yourself. Your team has to do, right?
Right. But again, when we're talking of real life, I mean, I think we shouldn't decide that we'll only stick to CNN. Because
no, we are not deciding.
You get a task. Yeah, you get a task, you get the data set, or you understand the volume of the data set, then you try out different kind of techniques and different kind of models, and you decide which will be the ideal one to sort of proceed with. So we have to have that scope open for whatever we get into.
No. What I'm saying is, when we go to how part of it, we can only do few of them. So my idea is that we must do CNN to some level, because again, some level, so that, let's say, I don't know what is the team size that we are thinking of. Everybody knows about basics of CNN, how to do it. And when the job comes, we are ready to go people to do the job and things like that. Is the objective. We have to, decide more in supply. But I'm taking early view now, now that you mentioned CNN, and CNN is heavily used thing for image, classification, identification, etc. And the last one is, of course, NLP, which is required for chatbots. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the $1 trillion question. This is what we are talking about. What business problem can we solve? So basically, what is this picture showing? That there is government, aviation, healthcare, common man. There are very little, common between them. So we need to identify what are the things we can do for government, aviation, healthcare, and also, that gives a kind of pattern of type of thing that we can do. And that's one of the way of doing things. Now, whatever we do, computer vision is like cat and dog stuff, is the oldest. It's the first one which got developed. And currently you can get off the shelf product which can help you do cat and dog thing, identification. So we can use that. Obviously, this object identifications have got different aspect. One is the recognition, whether it's a cat or a dog, or other one is called segmentation, semantic segmentation. Have you heard that term? Yes, no?
Semantic segmentation, is that with respect to NLP, language processing or image processing?
Image. See, basically, I'll give you, let's say we take this picture, whatever you're seeing. Are you seeing all of us, right? You can see three of us. So if you take that picture, one is identification. It will say, this is Shomo, this is Raja, this is Saroj. That is identification. The other one is, this picture will say, where are they? What are they doing? They are in a conversation or in a video call or whatever. That is the second type, the second category of classification. Third one is instant segmentation, where it's like a question or answer. So it'll say, what are they doing? So it can answer it, they are talking or they are discussing or blah, 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 whatever. So with that CNN and other thing, regression possibly, so we can do this, but we'll have to see. But I'm just giving slightly more detail here so that when we come to use case, because use case stuff will be more interactive and we have to decide. And my idea is to create a kind of assignment sheet, a high level, and that is what we have to go. We haven't talked about organization structure, etc. But at the end of it, let's say we decide 1 or 2, 3 things, and we also have facilities. We talked about it earlier, Roger, that we can use a student. So we can use a student to do some of it, and and manage that. So when we start, we have ready-made stuff. Day one, somebody joins it, you do it. That is number one outcome of this exercise. Second two is, actually during the interview, you can use this. I have this problem, how do you go about doing that? He may not give you exact worked out solution, but you can make out whether it is possible to do it, whether he can do, just the capability basically. So that is that. One sec, let me see if I'm missing some points. But this is basically, so this is basically the way to go about identify. Again, algorithm used in all of these are different. So some of them we have already discussed. So there'll be two things. One in the supply side, one is the SageMaker, which will cover all the possible algorithm. But obviously one thing is one for one purpose. Like Shomo said, that regression thing is used for, just the, prediction of what he's going to say. Somebody's making a sentence, he can predict what he's going to say. But the same thing can be expanded to classify email or something like that. So it's like have you heard of 2-dimensional multi-layer and all that?
Mm-hmm.
So that it comes in both in terms of image as well as image as well as your chat text. So basically, and I don't know how much of maths or stats you have covered, because just to get an idea of your status, behind that there's a lot of mathematics and statistics. So do you
get for all the algorithms, whatever maths was required, it was taught. I mean,
it was taught. Give me some example, like what? Just if you remember.
So like linear regression itself is a mathematical formula. So what is the mathematics behind forming the best fit line? So you find a line which reduces the mean squared error distance between the actual points and the predicted points. So what is the formula of calculating those distances? So just an example. To start with, every algorithm was, first the maths was taught behind an algorithm, and then you taught the algorithm, and then how to apply the algorithm to real world problems. So yeah, statistics formed a huge base for all the things that were taught previously.
No, that I gave the example of the same picture used for object identification and segmentation and instant segmentation. Instant segmentation use probabilistic model. So that is what is covered. But that is the the detail of it. But today, if you want to just do it, you can just pick on the shelf and do it. You have to know, you should not be scared of that because you know what is inside. It's like somebody opening the computer or laptop first time, granddads and all that. So they will say where to touch, they're scared, something will go wrong, etc., etc. Same thing is for the smartphone. You must have had the experience that old person, they are very scary and or whatever. So to that extent, you'll not be, you'll be as kind of smart users of this algorithm. But good to know both. And we again will discuss what is the plan of in the team, what level of knowledge we want to retain or gain. Okay, because you have the full thing about knowing the mathematical models and the real life use, because they're two different things. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is one real life example which I don't know whether you've seen earlier. There's the computer vision thing, identifying, classifying the images. So he got one picture which has got sky and the kites flying there, and then you have the people on the ground and the water and all that. So it basically can accurately, let's say 98% accurately identify the kites and the people. Now, how does it do? Obviously, the image recognition comes into a thing, but there are other parts that the context that the algorithm knows anything in the sky is not likely to be human beings. Everything in the water or the ground is likely to be human beings. So that's how you build. And similar, the same thing, like I said, this is the oldest of AI application compared to speech and other things. As you grow your application class increase, so the application is image restoration. So that is something maybe useful. So if you have the basic of image classifications and things like that, we may think that that's a future idea, but that's a good idea to be done later on. So those are the decisions we have to take. Is that clear?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Similarly, one of the good application, I have a use case for biometrics and face recognition. Other than that, it's used heavily in cancer. So it's very easy. Actually, compared to identify words and text and all that, identify object looks difficult, is actually simpler. Okay. Next slide, please. So this is another thing which is supervised, we use supervised learning, where you identify, put a lot of pictures, you classify the image, where you put the images of people and you say man or a woman or unknown, and what are they wearing. So you basically manually do it. So supposing we want to do an example of feeding Rajat, you and your Somo's pictures, and you say this is Rajat, this is Somo, this, and then you do different type of one standing, blah, blah, blah. And then sometimes you wear a shirt, sometimes you wear a t-shirt. So at the end of it, you should be able to, this is Rajat wearing a t-shirt, which we saw in the first day one thing. That I think is doable, but we'll see whether it's doable or not. But so this is, one sec. Yeah, so that is basically, this is simple to understand. So next slide is, can we go to next slide, please? Admin. Hello. Yeah, sorry. So it took, there was a lag. Yeah. So this is, whoa, what has happened? Yeah, this is the last slide where basically there are loads of example of what are the use cases. So you got machine learning translation, which Google does. Then you got speech recognition. the speech generation, where from the text you can generate what the text is saying, which is very popular. Then entity recognition, like cat and dog. Then text generation. Text summarization is very useful one, where it is very handy. Can be something we may consider if we can get the algorithm cracked in terms of putting an email and categorizing what is he talking about. Be very handy for senior people or otherwise, or analysts and researchers and all that. So that's a good one to consider. Then categorization is also good, like spam or this or that. We can put some category, and if we could do. And obviously the last one we've already discussed, the real-time chat. Real time is additional thing, just the chat bot, because we know the different things. So these are some examples of NLP which is very useful. And so obviously first level we have to know what is NLP, how to do it, etc., etc. So this is from this is the what part of it. In the supply side, we'll have to go deep dive how to do it, because each one has got its own challenges, what algorithm to use, etc., etc. Any question, any thought on this particular?
Pretty clear, pretty clear.
Yeah. So one other thing is that from now onwards, between next 2-3 weeks or 2 weeks or 1 week, whatever, just tell me your views that these are looks like your interest area, etc. So we can dwell more upon that. I've already lined up some of the thing, but still have vacancy to slot in some more, details.
Sure.
Next slide, I think is hello. Admin, next slide, please. Is that the end of it? Oh, you got one more, yeah. So this is something which is combination of multiple algorithms, predicting sales in this thing based on past sales, classifying the entry from critical system, fraud, which is already covered, detecting sensors and things like that. So one sec. Let me just. Yeah, this is basically the viewer application. What we talked about as the use cases, but this is where it can be applied, and based on the databases. In the first one, 1 minute left. So obviously, if you have to log in, we are almost at the end, but we still have to log in. The server log is very important application. Where like in here, one of the very high level the